Hi everyone, this is Supply Chain Management and Logistics. In the last class, I just started to talk about the supply chain coordination. That is our last issue in this class. Today, I'm going to continue with supply chain coordination. Let me get my PowerPoint slide here. Today, I'm going to start with this issue of trust regarding the supply chain coordination. In fact, I already covered the four key issues regarding the supply chain coordination. But on the other hand, the trust is such an important issue regarding the supply chain coordination. So that's why I put this issue aside. In a history, normally, the supply chain members have made the relationship based on two sources. The first one is a power, and the second one is a trust. Under the power-based relationship, that a single or a few powerful companies that lead any other, the less powerful company. So you can easily imagine that is a single powerful company with a big muscle, and the twist that the less powerful company's arm and say to them is, okay, from now on, you listen to me and do whatever I say. So that's the kind of situation you can easily imagine happening under the power-based relationship. So it's obvious that is the one of the big advantage of a power-based relationship is what you can quickly build that kind of relationship in a short time. But on the other hand, the power-based relationship has the serious flaws. The first one is because the most power is dominated by a single or just a few companies. So most likely what happens is that is those are few or single, the powerful company dominates, then most of the benefit from those supply chain relationship. And at the same time, the less powerful company may have to sacrifice themselves. The second problem of a power-based relationship is that is once the power shift happens from the one company to the another, that it can bring the chaos in the market and also relationship among the different supply chain members. The last problem I need to point out about the power-based relationship is that less powerful company may lose the money and keep sacrifice themselves continuously under this situation. So that's why they will keep looking for every chance to escape from the situation. So that's why normally the most people believe that this trust-based relationship is much more desirable than the power-based relationship. But depends on the depends on how you build those trust-based relationship. The way you build the trust could be very different. So first one is a so-called deterrent-based view. That's the first way you can build the trust under this vision. That is, the way you build trust is by using the formal contract. In this formal contract, you just write down every details about how to make a business relationship and what to do, and even how to punish in case of a breach of the contract. So by using this formal contract, you build the trust. That is a so-called deterrent-based view. But on the other hand, under the process-based view, that the way you build the trust is not using the formal contract. Just you keep having the business relationship with other supply chain member, and as time goes on, through the business relationship, you just the build the trust. That is the so-called the process-based view. But you have to understand is in most cases, the most companies does not take only single the view, either the deterrent-based view or process-based view exclusively. In most cases, in fact, that companies choose sometimes a deterrent-based view and sometimes a process-based view, not exclusively. But on the other hand, this is not a strict rule, but normally that according to the guideline is the way you build the trust is you starting with that the deterrent-based view and just evolve to the process-based view. In other words, at the beginning, it's going to be very hard to build the trust at the first time. So probably it's a better idea is you using the formal contract and write down everything you what to do under the situation of the business relationship, and then try to build that over the time as time goes on by keep having the business relationship with any other the supply chain member. So you better start with the deterrent-based view, and then later on you continue with this process-based view. That's the normal. But on the other hand, again, either you choose any vision, any view to build the trust. The most important thing is that every supply chain member has to understand they can get a benefit by having this trust. In fact, when we build the supply chain relationship based on the trust, we may have two phases. The first one is the design phase, and second one is a management phase. Depends on whether you are in the design phase or the management phase. What you have to do as a supply chain member could be very different. In the design phase, what to do is you have to make sure that is everyone understand is it really necessary to have trust each other to build a firm basis for the supply chain coordination. On the other hand, under the management phase, the supply chain member have to make them the used to the trust each other to have a concrete corporations over the time. So it depends on the which phases you are. The what to do and what's your goal could be very different. So here I just showing that some of the guideline, that is how you can follow the such a specific steps to build the trust and then realize supply chain coordination. First thing to do is you have to figure it out what kind of benefit you can get and for the others under this trust and supply chain coordination, and what kind of contribution you have to make, and then each supply chain member have to make. And then you have to understand that is what kind of job to do and what kind of decision you have to make for each the supply chain member. And also you have to prepare a very effective contract to build that firm basis for the supply chain coordination. Unless, even though you have a trust with the other supply chain member and then maintaining supply chain coordination, you shouldn't expect there is no conflict at all in the future. Okay, there will be a conflict and the problem will happen in the future on even under the supply chain coordination and even with the trust. So that's why it'll be a better idea you prepare that certain method and mechanism to resolve this conflict in advance before we even started with any supply chain coordination program. So that's the kind of the guideline I can give you to build that trust and realizing supply chain coordination under any situation. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some examples showing how to apply the supply chain coordination to real industries. So in fact, these are the programs for the supply chain coordination that happening in real industry that even in these days. The first one is quick response. The second one is efficient consumer response. The third one is the vendor managed inventory. The last one is CPFR. So talking about quick response, the quick response is first developed by the global leaders in the United States apparel and textile industry in 1984. In fact, the fashion clothes industry that has an inherent the problem regarding the inventory management. That is, in the fashion clothes industry, it is very hard to have the proper inventory management. The reason why that is difficult to manage inventory properly in the fashion clothes industry is the first, as you understand, the demand of fashion clothes is quite sensitive to the customer's favor. So that's why any manufacturer in this industry have to keep updating their design and model to satisfy the changing customers' favor. So that much is going to be very difficult to the product, the exact demand in the future. So because inaccuracy of the forecasting demand, so most the fashion clothes the manufacturer should keep the enough amount of inventory to meet the changing demand. And the second problem is that other than the luxury goods, normally the most fashion clothes their demand are quite sensitive to the price. So that's why the fashion clothes manufacturer have to the concern about how to cut their manufacturing cost. So even though those demand is of the fashion clothes happen for the sales in the domestic market, normally the manufacturer make their clothes in the location of a foreign country to get a benefit of the low the labor costs and manufacturing costs. But on the other hand, even though by having the factory in the foreign country, they can cut the manufacturing costs and the labor costs. But on the other hand, that the it will the bring the longer the lead time. So as we learn from the inventory management, if you have a longer lead time than much, you should prepare enough amount of even lot of inventory. So because of that, in most cases in the fashion clothes industry, that you are supposed to have a lot of inventory. But at the same time, if you have a lot of inventory in the fashion clothes industry, you are in big trouble as a manufacturer. Why? Because the normally fashion industry, that is the product, those fashion clothes is easily outdated as time goes on. So once the manufacturer introduce a new fashion clothes with a new design, then after the 1 year, okay, in the next year, you are not able to sell the fashion clothes at the original price. So at least you have to discount them, and also sometimes you have to find that you have to throw away. So that much if you have a huge amount of inventory in 1 year, in the next year, you're going to lose a lot of money because the value of those fashion clothes is going to pass away very fast. And then because of that, they try to solve this kind of problem regarding the inventory management by using this quick response. So in fact, the key point of a quick responses are two. The first one is the reducing the lead time. Okay. How come? That is by using the fast delivery mode, such as airplane, they try to keep the short lead time as much as possible. The another key point about the quick response is the timing. Under the quick response, the manufacturer tried to make the time to make product close to the time to take order so that their forecasting outcome becomes more accurate. Because the manufacturer needs to receive the orders earlier, so that it is very important to have the information sharing between the manufacturer and the buyer under the quick response. Of course, that is quick response should be based on the close coordinations between the supply chain member, including the manufacturer and the retailers. Next, supply chain coordination program is the efficient consumer response. Efficient consumer response was introduced by the leader of grocery industry in 1992. The grocery industry has the same problem regarding the inventory management as the fashion clothes industry. Why? Yeah, the grocery industry is about the food. You can easily understand is that managing the food as in inventory is really hard because the food getting rotten and decompose as time goes on. So you are not able to keep the food as an inventory as time goes on. So after sometimes that you have to just throw away. You're not just losing the value of inventory. Okay, you have to throw away in the garbage can. Okay, you lose the total value of those industries as time goes on. Even in these days, disposing the food is very expensive. So I can say it's even worse case than the fashion industry. But on the other hand, that the food industry also have some same problem about the long lead time. Why? Because this is not about just making electronics or the clothes. Okay, this is about the food. So you easily understand it's gonna take a time to grow the animals to get a meat and also plant until the harvest. So that's why normally in the food industry, the lead time is quite long. Okay? So that much you have to prepare a lot of the sufficient inventory. So this is a problem. You shouldn't have a lot of inventory, but at the same time, inherently that you have no choice other than to have a lot of inventory because of a lead time, long lead time. So that's why they bring the efficient consumer response to solve the problem. So in fact, compared with the quick response, the efficient consumer response has more the functions. Okay, under the quick response, the most important key the function is just information sharing, because of timing is very important under the quick response. So that's why they are mostly focused on the information sharing under the quick response. But in efficient consumer response has a more function other than the 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 information sharing, such as as you see that the store management, okay, is whose job is that? This is a job of a retailer. And refreshment, of course, retailer supposed to order and take care of that. And the promotion, yeah, of course, this is again the mostly retailer's job. But on the other hand, what about products and introduction? Product introduction. This is supposed to be done by the what? The manufacturer. But on the other hand, under the efficient consumer response, when retailer manage their store, how to display all the product on the shelves in the retail stores, and then how to decide order size to place order to the manufacturer, and even for the promotion, the retailer is supposed to discuss all this about with the manufacturer and make up the joint decisions. And also even the manufacturer introduce a new product to the market. This manufacturer is supposed to discuss about this new product with the retailer before introduce this product to the market. Okay? So regarding the store management, refreshment, and promotion and product introduction, even though traditionally it's supposed to be done by the individually by either the manufacturer or retailer, but under the efficient consumer response, all these works have to be done by jointly by both the retailer and manufacturers. Okay? To make sure that is they can improve the entire supply chain and then make a better outcome. So it is true that is in order to do this, okay, all these kind of functions happens that they need to share the information very intensively. But on the other hand, just having information is not enough under the efficient consumer response. That both the retailer and manufacturer have to more aggressive the works to do, okay, than the quick response. The next supply chain coordination is vendor managed inventory. The vendor management inventory is quite different from the previous two, the supply chain coordination. That is, this was first developed by the Walmarts. That is, you can easily imagine that is what kind of a problem that Walmart has. That is, what kind of product you can find in any Walmart stores. Yeah, it's many different kind. The starting from that was simple one like a notes and the pencil and even food item and also the big machine. That probably you can find 100 different kind of product items in one single the Walmart store. So you can easily imagine that this Walmart store have to manage all this kind of inventory and place order to the probably 1,000 different kind of that the distributor and manufacturer. So you can easily understand it's going to be very complicated and hard to have a good inventory management and placing orders, okay, in even one single Walmart store. So that's why one day the Walmart determined that is the Walmart said to their vendor saying is okay from now on we are not the Walmart's not going to manage our inventory even though those inventory store in Walmart's warehouse. Okay? So from now on the vendor you have to take care of all the inventory, okay, that are at the Walmart's the warehouses. So as a vendor, you have to decide how much product you have to bring to the my store. So from now on, the Walmart does not even place order, decided when to order and how much to order. Okay, that those decisions made by the not a Walmart from now on is made by the vendor. Okay, and even the vendor have to the take care of inventory at the Walmart store, and also the display those all the product that on the Walmart stores the shelves. So when the vendor listened this kind of words from the Walmart, then is you can easily imagine that is what kind of situation that is. Yeah, because the vendors, the Walmart's benefit from this vendor managed inventory is obvious. Why? Because from now on, after this vendor managed inventory, the Walmart doesn't have to do anything about the inventory. Okay, they don't have to manage inventory. They don't have to display their product on their shelves. Okay, they don't have to even decide it to when to order and how much to order. They don't have to place orders at all. Okay, so that much they can save the time and even the cost. But on the other hand, you have to ask yourself, what kind of benefit the vendor can expect from this vendor managed inventory? Probably all you can think is that there's just a band. This is the bad for the vendor. This will be this vendor managed inventory. Why? Because previously, before the vendor managed inventory, the vendor doesn't have to manage the inventory at the Walmart's warehouse because this is Walmart's own that the Walmart's the products. So even they don't have to decide it order size at all. Okay. But on the other hand, after the vendor managed inventory, the vendor had to decide it, how much to bring to the each this the Walmart store every day or every month, and also they have to take care of this inventory, okay, on behalf of a band, on behalf of the Walmarts, okay. So this sounds like unfair, okay, to the vendor. So I have to understand. I understand that is at the beginning of this vendor managed inventory, probably it's very hard for the vendor to find any benefit from this the vendor managed inventory. On the other hand, even for the vendor, okay, they can find that some of the vendors there they can find some of the benefit from this vendor managed inventory in the long run. Okay, so what is it? Yeah, before the vendor managed inventory, the ownership that the authority to make the decision about the how when to order and how much to order is totally the given to the what the Walmart. Walmart decided the how much to order and when to order. So before the vendor managed inventory, once the Walmart place order, and then no matter what that is, how much is, okay, all that vendor can do is just following the Walmart's order. So even though the Walmart's one day order 1,000 unit of a product, then the vendor should produce 1,000 unit and prepare that. Okay, even though that is not so much the cost effective. Okay, probably instead of making the 1,000 for the vendor as a manufacturer, making 10,000 probably is the much save there much that the manufacturing cost. But on the other hand, once the Walmart's the place order 1,000 unit, the manufacturer as vendor doesn't have any other choice. Okay, why? Because the Walmart has a full authority to decide it the how much to order. But on the other hand, what happened to the after the vendor managed inventory? No, the vendor has such a flexibility to choose how many the product they can produce. Why? Because now the authority to decide how much to order is moved from the Walmart to the vendor. Vendor has a right to determine how many product bring to the each Walmart store every day or every month. Okay. So in fact, what happened is before the vendor managed inventory, the Walmart determine how much to order and when to order in a way to minimize the Walmart's cost. But on the other hand, after the vendor managed inventory, what happened is the vendor determined when to order and how much to order in a way to minimize whose cost? Not a Walmart's cost, is a vendor's cost. So that much the vendor can enjoy the flexible, the order replenishment, and the production amount. Okay. So that's a kind of, but still I have to say that is not a short-term benefit for the vendor. At the beginning, probably the vendor, the lose, have to sacrifice himself, okay, for a while until actually they can realize the real benefit from the vendor managed inventory. But on the other hand, in the long run, okay, this the flexible manufacturing the system, okay, could bring the huge benefit to the vendor. So under this vendor managed inventory. So that's the key idea about this vendor managed inventory. So again, this the another benefit is that is under the vendor managed inventory, that is that suddenly in order to let the vendor determine when to order and how much to order to fulfill the demand happening in the Walmart store. The Walmart store is supposed to provide every information about the demand, not just the order to the every vendor. So that's why another benefit for the vendor is the vendor can receive the demand information on time. Okay. So that's why again, this is just basic. I keep talking about this because that any kind of supply chain coordination required the information sharing as a basis. Just like that is even vendor managed inventory require that information, intensive information sharing as a basis. Without it, probably you are not able to realize the full benefit from the vendor managed inventory, especially under the vendor managed inventory that the Walmart store needed to provide a full information about demand to the vendor. That's why from that the demand information that the vendor can make a proper decision about when to order and how much to order to fulfill the demand happening in the Walmart store. Then next, the supply chain coordination program is collaborative planning, the forecasting and replenishment, so-called CFR. Okay. In fact, CFR is a kind of newest version of a supply chain coordination. That is first originated from the pilot study of a new software program developed by the Warner Lambert, the famous United States, the consumer good manufacturer. And then again, we have a Walmart, the department store, in the 1996. As you see in the title, this name of work, CPFO, is a collaborative in the planning, the forecast, and replenishment. So original, the meaning of a CPFR is under this CPFR, that every company, even manufacturing, retail, and wholesaler, suppose determine anything about the planning and the forecasting and the replenishment, the jointly together, not individually. So I think this is a kind of the very ideal and perfect the coordination form of a supply chain system. Okay, but unfortunately, uh, even in these days, that is CFF is not fully realized. Mostly, they apply the so-called collaborate the forecasting. So mostly they focus on just the forecasting. Okay. So collaborative forecasting is idea is very simple. Okay, as you know, it's very hard to predict the future demand. So they try to get more information by collaborating between among the different supply chain member in order to, in a way, to get the accurate forecast outcome. So simple idea is if the more people join together and discuss about this and then bring the idea, and also the more data and the information they can collect, then probably they can improve the forecasting outcome. So that's the key idea about the collaborative forecasting. So in the traditionally, if the forecasting is just a single company's job to do, but under the collaborate forecasting, the forecasting happen jointly by the every supply chain member, including the retailer, wholesaler, and even manufacturer. Okay, by sharing all the information. So as I said, but still, I mean, even in these days, that is, we have seen that it's just this collaborative job is only on the forecasting function. But who knows? I mean, in the future, we may see this full version of collaborating the planning, forecasting, and replenishment (CFR). Okay, in the future, that is, the collaborative job happen in not only the forecasting, in every planning and even the replenishment. Okay. At last, I'm going to give you some of the tips about how to apply the supply chain coordination in practice. The first one is company needs to measure the bully effect. As we learn about bully effect, the bully effect could cause a serious problem in supply chain system. However, unfortunately, the many company in these days, they don't measure the bully effect, even though they know about the bully effect. The thing is, bully effect in supply chain system is just like a situation of the catching cold. So let me get my note here. Once you catch a cold, your body is supposed to give you the sign, the so-called symptom. Such as once you catch a cold, you're having the headache or cough or fever, and such as. Okay, so those symptoms tells you that is you have a flu. So once you have this sign, the symptoms, then you might have a chance to not being so much ill later. Okay, so by visit your doctor and eat some medicine and or some take a rest and some having hot soup. Okay, make your body warm. That way, you may not so much ill. Okay, you may not so much ill later on. Okay, but on the other hand, if you just ignore this symptom, probably you just ended up with serious illness. Okay, just like that. Okay, the as I said, the Brewer effect is a kind of sign, the warning sign that is your supply chain system has some serious problem. So if you just ignore that, probably you have no choice other than just paying a huge cost because of those bully effect getting serious. But on the other hand, if you take the bully effect, and measure it and take it seriously, then probably you may have chance to the prevent those bully effect becomes a huge cost. So you can save that the moment that you have to getting into trouble. Okay, so that's why that is company needs to not just knowing the bully effect, keep measuring the bully effect as time goes on, okay, in any moment. So in fact, you remember I gave you some of the references that's from the academic journals, okay, regarding the bully effect. So one of those references giving you the idea that how to actually measure the bully effect. And then next one is, as you know, the supply chain coordination is just like any the decision in supply chain management is most likely just the strategic level decision. That much is serious and need a long time to think about, and you have to be very serious to consider that. So that's why in any decision regarding the supply chain coordination require the top manager's commitment. And also, supply chain coordination is not free. You have to pay the cost and make the investment. In fact, normally the initial investment required for the supply chain coordination is very huge until you get the real benefit from the supply chain coordination. But on the other hand, again, that is you have to spend time and money, and even you have to make effort, enough amount of effort to realize supply chain coordination and get the full benefit from that. And also communication with the other supply chain members are very important, especially on different stage of a supply chain system. So I just keep saying that is emphasizing the importance of information sharing. Information sharing is the key basis for any kind of supply chain coordination program. And also, it is important to have a full coordination that in entire supply chain network to realize the full benefit of a supply chain coordination. In other words, that in order to get a fully enjoy the benefit from the supply chain coordination, all the supply chain members are supposed to involve in those supply chain coordination program. Otherwise, you may not get the full benefit from the supply chain coordination. So it's important to everyone in every stages in the supply chain system should participate in the supply chain coordination program. And also, in order to realize that the information sharing, okay, it is important to use the new advanced technology, such as the internet, to improve the communication and the connectivity in the supply chain system. And the last, that once you have a benefit from the supply chain coordination program, then you have to carefully to think about that how to share those benefit of from the coordination equitably and fairly. Okay? Why? Because as I said, just like a supply chain coordinations, as I said, okay, that is supply chain coordination doesn't guarantee that everybody get a happy, okay, become the happy. Okay. In the some, definitely some members in the supply chain system may get the may get the benefit from the supply chain coordination program. But on the other hand, the others may have to sacrifice themselves. Okay. So question is how we can convincing them, okay, who losing the money because of the coordinations, okay, still maintaining that in maintaining the participating in the supply chain coordination program. Okay, as I said before, one of the tips that I already explained that is, in order to fully enjoy the benefit of a supply chain coordination, every member in every stage is supposed to participate in the supply chain, the supply chain coordination program. So that's why, as I said before, it is very important to design the incentives system to compensate the members the losing the money and make them understand this is good for everyone. So that way, I just finished this topic of a supply chain coordination. In fact, I just finished everything that for this class in this semester. And probably this is my last chance to talk about something to you. And all I want to say is just a thank you. I really appreciate your hard work on the class. I just hope that you learn something, probably not a lot, but something. So good luck and thank you. 감사합니다. Bye everyone. Bye.